My mom laughed when I got a full scholarship, then said, "You're not going." She then replaced my birth control with sugar pills and let her boyfriend crawl into my bed at 2 a.m. When I finally confronted her, she rolled her eyes and said, "Stop being so dramatic. He was just out of it and didn't mean it." I stayed silent. This morning, her own children clung to me and were calling me mom. I was 16 when I became the big daddy of the house because my actual dad abandoned us. No goodbye, no text, just woke up one day and he was gone. But I didn't even have time to grieve because my life wasn't about me anymore. It was about taking care of my 3 younger siblings. At first, I told myself it was temporary. Mom just needed time to adjust. But every night while I was either working or studying, she was coming home with vodka breath and club stamps on her hand. And I guess when it rains, it pours, because it was around this time that our relatives cut us off. My aunt literally told me over the phone that she was done enabling my mother's behavior. No backup babysitters, no one to call when I needed help, complete exile. The only thing that got me through it all was the thought of college. My mom promised she'd have her shut together by then, and I could finally pursue my dream of being an English teacher. So even when I told my mom to apply for government benefits and never saw a dime, I wasn't mad. And even when I was basically raising 3 kids while trying to maintain my grades in senior year, I still wasn't mad. And it was all worth it. Because when my acceptance letter finally came, tears were streaming down my face. Happy tears. It was from State College, and I had gotten a full scholarship. I immediately ran to my mom. I thought she would hug me, or at least say well done, but no. "Wait, you actually got in," was the first thing she said, before bursting into laughter. "Yes, Mom, you're not going," she interrupted. My blood went cold. She continued, "Don't be so effing selfish. Who's going to watch the kids if you're gone?" Everything in me was screaming to anyway, but I couldn't, because I knew leaving my siblings meant abandoning them the same way my dad did, so I just nodded and left her room. Then came the night that really changed. One of Mom's boyfriends was over, and they were making out on the sofa, so I did what I always do, and told my siblings to stay in their rooms and play Uno. I was fast asleep at 2 a.m. when I heard it, my door creaking open, and her BF stumbling into my room. Before I could react, he was crouching over my bed and grabbing my chest. "You're like a younger, hotter version of your mom," he mumbled. I shoved him back hard and felt something pop in my wrist, but managed to lock the door. The next morning, my wrist was swollen and purple. Mom rolled her eyes when I showed her. "Stop being so dramatic, Rachel. He was just hammered." And I could have just asked her not to bring another man home, but her boyfriends helped pay for things when I couldn't. So instead, I made a deal that destroyed my future. "Mom, I'll drop out of school and work full-time if you never bring another man home." "Yes, yes, that is amazing," she responded without hesitation. 3 jobs became my new normal. Diner at dawn, retail all day, cleaning offices until midnight. The only good thing in my life was Tyler. He was a boy I had met at the diner, and he just got me. When he noticed my uniforms hanging loose, he started bringing me sandwiches between shifts. Sometimes he'd even babysit my siblings when I needed to rest. So there I was, on my 3rd shift in a row, wiping down a table when I fainted. Luckily, the paramedics told me it was just severe dehydration and anemia, meaning it was a quick fix. They brought me to the hospital for some checks. I still remember how the nurses' faces contorted when they found out the news. No one wanted to tell me what it was, but I knew it was big. They made me sign dozens of forms before telling me. "You're 8 weeks pregnant," the nurse said with a completely straight face. I stared at her blankly, looking for any sign that it was some elaborate prank. Long story short, it wasn't. But none of it made sense, because I'd been taking birth control for months. When I got home, I tore apart the house looking for my pills to check the expiration dates. I couldn't find them anywhere in my room, and something told me to check my mom's dresser. That's when I saw it. Some of my birth control pills had been replaced with sugar pills, all to trap me as the family caregiver forever. I knew I had a decision to make, one that would not only change my life, but also the lives of my mom and siblings forever. Rachel spent the next 3 days secretly documenting everything while pretending nothing had changed. Tyler helped her photograph the sugar pills alongside her actual birth control packaging. They researched Medicaid fraud together, discovering her mother had been collecting $2,400 monthly in various benefits for 5 years. Rachel's mother, Nicole, started getting suspicious when Rachel stopped complaining about exhaustion and began acting cheerful. Nicole tested her by announcing she was thinking of applying for disability benefits for Rachel's youngest brother, claiming his asthma was severe enough to qualify for extra money. Rachel played along, saying that sounded great while secretly recording Nicole admitting the kid just had mild allergies, but she knew how to work the system. The next week, Nicole escalated by telling Rachel she'd scheduled an appointment to get an IUD for her since clearly she couldn't be trusted with pills. Rachel pretended to agree while texting Tyler, who helped her research how to file reports. Things got dangerous when Nicole found Rachel's notebook where she'd been tracking the stolen benefit amounts. Nicole cornered her in the kitchen, demanding to know what she was planning, but Rachel lied, saying she was just trying to budget better for the family. Nicole didn't buy it and started hiding important documents like birth certificates and social security cards in a lockbox, but Rachel had already made copies at the library weeks earlier. The breaking point came when Rachel's middle brother Jason developed a severe tooth abscess. Nicole refused to take him to the dentist despite having Medicaid because she'd been selling the coverage information to other people for cash. Rachel took Jason to the emergency room herself, where the social worker noticed something was off when Rachel couldn't provide insurance information despite Nicole claiming coverage. The social worker pulled Rachel aside, and that's when everything spilled out. But Nicole had anticipated this and had already started spreading rumors that Rachel was mentally unstable from overwork and was making things up for attention. Nicole even called Tyler's construction boss, claiming Rachel was harassing her and trying to get Tyler fired, but his boss didn't believe it because Tyler had already warned him about the situation. Rachel came home to find Nicole had changed the locks, but Rachel had hidden a spare key months ago, and she snuck in through the window to grab the evidence she'd hidden in the air vent. Nicole caught her and tried to physically stop her, but Rachel's youngest sister, Lily, who was only 8, stood up to Nicole for the first time, saying she knew mommy was lying about everything. everything because she'd heard her on the phone laughing about tricking the government people. This gave Rachel the moment she needed to grab the evidence box. Nicole made one final desperate move by calling 911, claiming Rachel was kidnapping the children. But when police arrived, they found Rachel calmly sitting with her siblings, while Nicole was hammered and ranting. The officers noticed the youngest boy wheezing without an inhaler, and the middle child's swollen face from the abscess, and started asking questions. Tyler arrived with printed bank statements he'd helped Rachel obtain showing deposits from benefit fraud. Nicole tried to blame everything on Rachel, saying she was the one who filled out the forms and stole the money. But Rachel had prepared for this and showed officers the recording of Nicole admitting to fraud plus photos of the sugar pills and medical neglect. The investigation revealed Nicole had stolen over $144,000 in benefits while medically neglecting her children. She was arrested on multiple charges, including fraud and child endangerment. Rachel was granted emergency custody of her siblings, and with Tyler's support and testimony from neighbors who'd witnessed the neglect, she was approved as their guardian. The court ordered Nicole to pay restitution, and she received 5 years in prison. Rachel used the Victim Compensation Fund to finally get her siblings proper medical care. With her GED completed, she started community college part-time while raising them. Tyler proposed 6 months later in front of the kids at their new apartment. Rachel's professor helped her get a scholarship specifically for student parents. The kids thrived with stability and health care. Rachel discovered she was actually having twins, which the family joked was the universe making up for all the siblings she'd already raised. Within 2 years, she was working as a teacher's aide while finishing her education degree. Nicole's parole was denied when she failed to show remorse or acknowledge the harm she'd caused. The first year was harder than I'd imagined. My youngest brother's asthma turned out to be worse than Nicole had claimed, requiring daily medication and regular specialist visits. Jason needed 3 root canals after years of dental neglect, and Lily struggled with nightmares about Nicole coming back. Tyler moved in after we got married in a small courthouse ceremony, converting our garage into a bedroom so each kid could have their own space. Working as a teacher's aide while pregnant with twins meant constant exhaustion. My supervisor noticed me nodding off during story time and pulled me aside. She suggested I take maternity leave early, but I couldn't afford it. Tyler's construction job covered rent and utilities, but medical bills and groceries for 5 people ate through everything else. The twins arrived 6 weeks early, tiny but healthy. My professor arranged for me to complete coursework online while they were in NICU. Tyler picked up extra shifts, often coming home covered in drywall dust just in time to help with midnight feedings. Lily appointed herself the twins' protector, reading them stories while I studied for exams. 3 months after the twins came home, Jason started acting out at school. His teacher called saying he'd pushed another student and refused to apologize. When I picked him up, he sat silently in the car until we reached a red light. Then he asked if I regretted taking them in. The question hit me like a physical blow. I pulled over and turned to face him, explaining that choosing them was the easiest decision I'd ever made. That night, I found Jason crying in his room. He'd overheard me on the phone with the electric company, negotiating a payment plan. He thought we were struggling because of him and his siblings. Tyler and I spent hours reassuring him, but I knew words weren't enough. We needed stability beyond just scraping by. I started tutoring other teachers' aides, preparing for certification exams, earning extra money in the evenings. Tyler learned specialized welding techniques that paid better. Slowly, we built a small emergency fund. The kids noticed the changes. Name-brand cereal appeared occasionally, and we could afford school field trips without stress. 6 months before Nicole's first parole hearing, we received a letter from her lawyer. She wanted visitation rights, claiming she'd completed rehab and parenting classes in prison. My hands shook as I read her statement about being a changed woman who deserved a second chance with her children. Lily found me crying over the letter and climbed into my lap, reminding me that we were her real family now. The kids' therapist recommended we prepare them for the possibility of seeing Nicole again. Jason refused to discuss it, while my youngest brother asked if she would take them away. Only Lily seemed curious, wondering if prison had made her mother different. We practiced what they might say if asked about visitation, emphasizing their right to choose. Tyler's boss offered him a promotion to site supervisor, but it meant traveling to job sites across the state. We spent nights discussing options while the twins slept between us. The extra income would secure the kids' futures, but his absence would leave me managing everything alone. In the end, he turned it down, saying our family stability mattered more than money. My education degree required student teaching, meaning months without income. My professor connected me with a program offering stipends for student teachers in high-need schools. The placement was in the roughest part of town, but it included health insurance and enough money to cover basic expenses. Tyler drove me there the first day, checking door locks twice before letting me out. The school challenged everything I thought I knew about teaching. Students came hungry, angry, and desperate for attention. During my 3rd week, a fight broke out in my classroom. As I separated 2 girls, one screamed that I didn't understand anything about real problems. That night, I told Tyler maybe she was right. My family struggles seemed manageable compared to theirs. He reminded me that pain wasn't a competition. We'd survived our own version of poverty and neglect. Now I could use that understanding to help others. The next day, I started a breakfast program in my classroom, using my own money to buy granola bars and fruit. Word spread, and soon other teachers contributed supplies. Parent-teacher conferences revealed how many families face situations like ours. Single guardians, grandparents raising grandchildren, older siblings stepping into parental roles. I shared resources I'd discovered during our journey. Food banks that didn't require extensive paperwork, clinics with sliding scale fees, programs offering free school supplies. My supervising teacher noted my natural connection with struggling families. The twins started walking while I was at school. Tyler sent videos of their wobbly steps, and I cried in the faculty bathroom. Missing milestones felt like another sacrifice on an endless list. But that evening, they toddled toward me at the door, and I realized they'd been waiting to show me in person. Nicole's parole hearing approached faster than expected. The victim advocate explained the process, but nothing prepared me for sitting across from the woman who'd sabotaged sabotaged my birth control. She wore prison blues and an expression of practiced remorse. When asked about her crimes, she blamed addiction and depression, never mentioning the calculated fraud or medical neglect. I spoke about the reality of raising her children, the therapy bills, the medical emergencies, the nights they cried for a mother who chose schemes over their well-being. Nicole's lawyer argued that denying parole would permanently separate a mother from her children. The board asked if I supported reunification. I stated simply that the children's safety and stability came first. 2 weeks later, we learned Nicole's parole was denied. She'd receive another hearing in 18 months. The kids reacted differently than expected. Jason seemed relieved, while Lily grew quiet. My youngest brother asked if this meant Nicole didn't love them. I explained that sometimes love wasn't enough if someone couldn't change harmful behaviors. Student teaching consumed my final semester. I arrived at school before dawn to prep lessons and stayed late tutoring struggling readers. The twins spent days with a neighbor who ran a home daycare, while Tyler adjusted his schedule to handle school pickups. Lily started helping with dinner, proud of her new responsibility. My supervising teacher recommended me for a full-time position. The salary would double our income, finally providing real financial security. But the offer came with a catch. They needed an immediate commitment before I'd officially graduated. Taking it meant missing my own graduation ceremony. Tyler said the choice was mine, but I saw the hope in his eyes. I accepted the position, trading my cap and gown moment for a steady paycheck. My professor arranged for me to walk in the winter ceremony instead. The kids made signs saying, "Our sister is a teacher," and cheered louder than anyone when I crossed the stage. Tyler held the twins up to see, and I realized this moment meant more because we'd built it together. The first months of teaching full-time while parenting overwhelmed me. Lesson plans competed with homework help, parent emails mixed with doctor appointments. I found myself snapping at the kids over minor issues, then lying awake consumed by guilt. Tyler suggested we needed help, but I resisted, fearing it meant I was failing. Everything shifted when Jason's teacher called about his improved grades and leadership in group projects. She said he often helped classmates with difficult assignments, showing unusual empathy for a 13-year-old. When I asked him about it, he shrugged and said he remembered how I'd helped him when everything felt impossible. Lily joined the school choir, discovering a talent for singing. Her music teacher recommended private lessons, but the cost seemed impossible. Then she mentioned a scholarship program for students from low-income families. We applied together, Lily writing about how music helped her process difficult emotions. She won full funding for weekly lessons. My youngest brother thrived in middle school science, especially environmental studies. His teacher suggested summer programs at the local university, designed for promising students from underserved communities. He worried about leaving us for 2 weeks, but Tyler and I insisted he pursue every opportunity. Watching him pack reminded me of my own abandoned college dreams, but this felt like redemption. The twins developed distinct personalities, one outgoing and fearless, the other thoughtful and cautious. They adored their older siblings, following them around and mimicking everything. Jason taught them to build block towers, while Lily sang them elaborate bedtime songs. My youngest brother explained weather patterns using stuffed animals. Our chaotic house felt like a real home. Tyler's steady presence anchored everything. He handled morning routines when I had early meetings, coached Jason's basketball team, and attended every choir concert. His family embraced ours completely. His mother became the grandmother figure the kids needed, while his sisters included our children in every cousin gathering. We'd created the extended family Nicole had cost us. Financial stability brought new challenges. The kids needed braces, school activities required fees, and college loomed for Jason. We started family budget meetings, teaching them financial literacy Nicole had never provided. They learned to distinguish wants from needs, save for goals, and understand how our past shaped present choices. A year into teaching, my principal nominated me for a District Excellence Award. The recognition included a monetary prize and the opportunity to mentor new teachers. Standing before the school board, I spoke about students who'd overcome trauma and teachers who'd believed in them. The audience included my family, Tyler holding a twin on each hip, the older kids beaming with pride. Nicole's second parole hearing arrived with less fanfare. We submitted written statements but didn't attend in person. The kids felt secure enough to express their preferences honestly. They wanted no contact until they turned 18 and could decide for themselves. The board denied parole again, noting Nicole's continued minimization of her crimes. Summer brought unexpected joy. We rented a small cabin by a lake, our first real vacation. Watching the kids swim and roast marshmallows felt surreal after years of survival mode. Tyler and I sat on the dock after they'd gone to bed, marveling at how far we'd come. He reminded me that I'd saved not just my siblings, but myself too. My teaching philosophy evolved through experience. I recognized the quiet students carrying adult responsibilities, the angry ones masking fear, the class clowns desperate for stability. My classroom became a sanctuary where mistakes were learning opportunities and every child mattered. Parents requested their children be placed with me, knowing I understood complicated families. The district offered me a position training other teachers in trauma-informed practices. It meant less direct classroom time, but broader impact. Tyler encouraged me to accept, saying I'd earned the chance to shape education policy. The kids agreed, proud that their sister would help other teachers understand students like them. We celebrated the twins' second birthday with a massive party. Their daycare friends mixed with Tyler's coworkers and my teaching colleagues. Jason helped organize games while Lily performed songs. My youngest brother gave a speech about family that moved everyone to tears. Nicole's absence felt less like a loss and more like freedom. That night, after cleaning up streamers and cake, I found a letter in the mailbox. Nicole had written from prison, not asking for anything but apologizing. She acknowledged the harm she'd caused and said she understood our decision to protect the children. I didn't know if her remorse was genuine, but I filed the letter away for when the kids were older. Teaching awards led to speaking opportunities. I presented at conferences about supporting students from disrupted families. Tyler and the kids traveled with me when possible, turning professional development into family adventures. Hotel pools and continental breakfasts became special treats, bonding experiences that replaced painful memories. Jason started high school with clear goals. He wanted to study social work, inspired by the professionals who'd helped our family. His guidance counselor connected him with internship opportunities at local nonprofits. Watching him mentor younger kids in after-school programs, I saw myself at 16, but with the support I'd lacked. Lily's music evolved from hobby to passion. She composed songs about resilience and hope, performing at school events and local venues. A coffee shop owner offered her a weekly spot, paying enough to cover her lesson costs. Tyler built her a small recording space in the garage, where she spent hours perfecting melodies. My youngest brother's environmental interests led to science fair victories and university mentorship programs. He designed water filtration systems for developing communities, combining innovation with social justice. His projects earned recognition and small scholarships that would accumulate toward college funding. The twins started preschool, adjusting easily after years in daycare. Their teachers commented on their emotional intelligence and ability to share. They'd grown up surrounded by love and chaos in equal measure, developing resilience alongside security. Watching them board the school bus felt like another milestone in our collective journey. Professional success brought opportunities to influence district policies. I advocated for programs supporting guardian families, free breakfast initiatives, and trauma-informed discipline practices. Board members who'd once seen me as a young woman with a sob story now sought my expertise on family stability issues. We bought a larger house using my salary increase and Tyler's promotion to senior supervisor. Each kid finally had their own room, plus space for family gatherings. The backyard included room for Lily's music practice and my brother's science experiments. Tyler built a workshop where he taught Jason woodworking skills. Nicole's third parole hearing approached with different energy. The kids were older, more settled, less afraid. They decided to write letters expressing their feelings but maintaining boundaries. Each child's perspective reflected their personality. Jason's direct and protective, Lily's compassionate but firm, my youngest brother's analytical and forward-thinking. I wrote my own statement focusing on the children's achievements and stability. I didn't demonize Nicole but emphasized how consistency and support had allowed them to thrive. Tyler added his perspective as someone who'd chosen this family and witnessed their growth. We submitted everything without attending, trusting the process. The parole board denied Nicole again, but reduced her remaining sentence. She'd be released in 2 years regardless. We used the time to prepare, working with therapists on potential reunion scenarios. The kids understood they controlled any future relationship. Some wanted eventual contact, others remained uncertain. We respected every feeling. My teaching career expanded into administration. The principal position at a struggling elementary school opened, and my mentor encouraged me to apply. It meant leaving daily classroom interaction, but gaining power to implement systematic changes. Tyler and I discussed the increased responsibility against potential impact. The interview committee asked about my leadership philosophy. I spoke about creating environments where broken families could heal, where poverty didn't determine potential, where every child deserved stability and support. They offered me the position immediately, recognizing authentic understanding versus theoretical knowledge. Becoming a principal meant longer hours but also flexible scheduling. I could attend the twins' preschool events and Tyler's work celebrations. The older kids helped more with household responsibilities, not from necessity, but from genuine desire to contribute. We'd evolved from survival mode to intentional family building. My first year as principal challenged everything. The school served families facing homelessness, addiction, and violence. Teachers felt overwhelmed and under-resourced. I implemented support systems learned through personal experience. Food pantries, clothing exchanges, parent education programs focused on practical needs versus judgment. Test scores improved, but more importantly, attendance increased and behavioral issues decreased. Students felt safe and supported, allowing academic growth. Teachers reported renewed energy when they saw comprehensive approaches working. The district noticed, allocating additional resources for expansion. Tyler's company won a major contract requiring temporary relocation. We faced our first major decision as an established family. The kids voted on whether he should accept, weighing opportunity against disruption. They unanimously supported his growth, remembering how he'd sacrificed for them. He commuted weekly, maintaining presence while advancing professionally. Jason received early acceptance to his dream college with substantial financial aid. His essay about raising siblings while being raised himself moved admissions committees. He planned to stay local, wanting proximity to family while gaining independence. We converted the garage workshop into a small apartment, giving him autonomy within safety. Lily's music caught attention from a youth talent agency. They offered representation and recording opportunities but required significant travel. We researched extensively, involving lawyers and other parents who'd navigated similar paths. Ultimately, she chose local development over immediate fame, prioritizing education and family stability. My youngest brother earned full scholarships to multiple universities for environmental engineering. He struggled choosing between prestigious distant programs and solid local options. Tyler reminded him that success wasn't about institutional names but personal growth. He selected the state university, close enough for Sunday dinners, but far enough for independence. The twins entered kindergarten reading above grade level, surrounded by siblings who'd made education priority despite obstacles. Their teachers marveled at their empathy and leadership skills. They organized playground games ensuring everyone felt included, naturally understanding exclusion's pain without experiencing it themselves. District recognition led to state-level committee appointments. I influenced policies affecting thousands of guardian families, foster situations, and poverty-impacted students. Speaking engagements expanded nationally, sharing our story to inspire systematic changes. Tyler traveled with me when possible, proud of my advocacy evolution. We established a family foundation supporting young guardians pursuing education. Small scholarships made differences we remembered. Textbook money, laptop funds, emergency assistance. Recipients often shared their stories, creating networks of mutual support. Jason managed social media outreach, connecting struggling families with resources. Nicole's final year approached approached with mixed emotions. The kids had grown into confident young adults who understood complex family dynamics. Some expressed curiosity about eventual contact, others remained protective of hard-won peace. We supported every position, knowing healing happened on individual timelines. Tyler's promotion to regional manager brought financial security we'd never imagined. We established college funds, emergency savings, and retirement planning. The irony wasn't lost. Nicole's schemes for government money paled against what we'd built through honest work and mutual support. My principal role expanded to mentor other administrators facing challenging populations. I developed training programs emphasizing practical support over punitive measures. Districts reported decreased dropout rates and improved family engagement after implementing our strategies. Real change happened through understanding rather than judgment. The twins thrived in elementary school, developing individual interests while maintaining close bonds. One excelled in mathematics and logic puzzles, the other in creative writing and art. They represented hope realized, children who'd never known instability but understood its impact through family stories. Jason's college success inspired his volunteer work with youth aging out of foster care. He created transition programs addressing practical needs, banking, cooking, professional communication. His professors noted exceptional empathy and systematic thinking. He planned graduate school focusing on family preservation policies. Lily balanced music with education, earning scholarships for both academic and artistic achievement. She performed benefit concerts raising funds for family support services. Her songs evolved from personal healing to universal themes of resilience. Local venues competed to host her monthly performances. My youngest brother's environmental innovations earned patent consideration. He developed affordable water purification systems for rural communities, combining technical brilliance with social consciousness. Universities offered research positions, but he chose fieldwork, implementing solutions directly. Tyler helped prototype designs in our garage workshop. Professional recognition culminated in a state education award. Standing before legislators and educators, I shared our journey from survival to success. The audience included my family, Tyler in his best suit, older kids home from college, twins fidgeting but proud. I spoke about transforming trauma into purpose, creating stability from chaos. The final months before Nicole's release brought reflection. We'd built lives she couldn't destroy, relationships she couldn't manipulate, success she couldn't claim. The children she'd neglected had become accomplished adults. The daughter she'd sabotaged led educational reform. Her actions had catalyzed our growth, though credit belonged to our choices. Family meetings addressed potential contact protocols. Some siblings wanted structured communication, others preferred permanent distance. We established boundaries protecting everyone's mental health while allowing individual decisions. Tyler reminded us that family meant choice, not obligation. Blood created connection, but love required action. Looking toward the future felt different than survival mode planning. We had stability, success, and most importantly, genuine family bonds. The twins would grow up secure, the older kids would pursue dreams with support, and Tyler and I would continue building together. We'd transformed Nicole's destruction into something beautiful. My work expanded beyond education into policy advocacy. Legislative committees sought input on guardian support, trauma-informed practices, and family preservation. I testified about practical needs versus theoretical approaches. Real change required understanding that families came in many forms, all deserving support and dignity. Tyler's steady presence through everything reminded me that chosen family mattered most. He'd entered our chaos voluntarily, staying through struggles and celebrating victories. Our marriage modeled healthy partnership for the kids, showing that love meant consistent support rather than grand gestures or empty promises. As Nicole's release date approached, we felt prepared rather than fearful. We'd built lives too solid for her manipulation, relationships too strong for her destruction. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. A family forged through adversity, but defined by love, resilience, and unshakable bonds that no one could break. The release date loomed exactly 3 weeks away. I woke up at 4 a.m. to find Jason already in the kitchen, staring at his laptop. He'd been researching restraining order procedures, printing forms he thought we might need. I poured coffee and sat beside him, noticing he'd highlighted sections about violating custody agreements. Tyler found us there an hour later, both hunched over legal websites. He placed his hands on our shoulders, reminding us that preparation helped, but obsessing wouldn't change anything. The twins wandered in demanding breakfast, forcing normalcy back into our morning routine. That afternoon, Child Protective Services called. Nicole had petitioned for supervised visitation upon release, claiming rehabilitation and parental rights. The caseworker explained we'd need to attend a hearing in 2 weeks. My hands trembled as I wrote down the date, remembering every medical appointment Nicole had skipped, every benefit check she'd stolen. Lily overheard the conversation from the hallway. She walked straight to her room and returned with a folder she'd been keeping. Inside were dated entries documenting her memories, nights without food, untreated illnesses, the fear of Nicole's boyfriends. She'd been preparing her own evidence for months. My youngest brother called from his dorm that evening. He'd calculated the exact amount Nicole owed in restitution versus what she'd likely paid from prison wages. The math showed she'd barely covered 2%. He wanted to testify about the asthma medication she'd denied him while claiming disability benefits in his name. The next morning brought another complication. Nicole's new lawyer sent a letter proposing a gradual reintegration plan, starting with phone calls, progressing to supervised visits, eventually requesting overnight stays. The audacity made my stomach churn. Tyler read it twice before crumpling it into a ball. I scheduled an emergency session with the kids' therapist. She'd been treating them since the initial custody change and knew their progress intimately. During our meeting, she documented the stability they'd achieved, the trust they'd rebuilt, the academic success that followed consistent care. Her report would carry weight in court. Jason surprised me by calling a family meeting that night. He'd researched Nicole's cellmate, discovering she'd been convicted of identity theft. He worried Nicole had learned new schemes, new ways to manipulate systems. The twins listened quietly, understanding more than their age judge suggested they should. 3 days later, our mailbox contained another letter. This one came from Nicole directly, handwritten on prison stationery. She claimed she'd found religion, attended every available program, even earned her GED. The words felt hollow, especially when she mentioned hoping to rebuild what we once had. We'd never had anything worth rebuilding. Tyler's mother offered to attend the hearing with us. She'd witnessed Nicole's neglect firsthand, often buying groceries when she noticed our empty refrigerator during visits. His sisters volunteered similar support, creating a network of people ready to testify about the transformation they'd seen in our family. The school district where I worked as principal caught wind of the situation through concerned colleagues. My superintendent called personally, offering legal resources and character references. Teachers who'd seen me advocate for struggling families volunteered written statements about my dedication to child welfare. A week before the hearing, Nicole's lawyer requested my employment records and financial statements. They wanted to prove I couldn't provide adequately while working full-time. Tyler spent hours organizing our budget documentation, showing how we'd managed medical care, education costs, and savings accounts for each child. My youngest brother drove home from college to help prepare. He created a presentation comparing the kids' health records before and after custody changed. The contrast was stark. Emergency room visits for preventable conditions versus regular checkups and managed care. Even he seemed shocked by the visual evidence. Lily's music teacher reached out unexpectedly. She'd taught hundreds of students but remembered Lily's transformation from withdrawn to confident. She wrote about the correlation between stable home life and artistic growth, offering to testify if needed. These unsolicited supports reminded me we weren't alone. The twins' preschool teacher provided detailed progress reports. She noted their advanced social skills, emotional regulation, and academic readiness. She'd never met Nicole but had seen enough neglected children to recognize the signs of recovery. Her professional opinion added another layer to our case. 4 days before the hearing, Jason discovered Nicole had been corresponding with other inmates about reclaiming stolen children. He'd found this through a prison pen pal website where she'd posted her story, painting herself as a victim of an ungrateful daughter. The comments from sympathetic strangers made him physically sick. Tyler took time off work to help coordinate everything. We spent evenings after the kids' bedtime organizing documents, practicing potential questions, preparing for Nicole's manipulation tactics. He reminded me that truth stood stronger than any story she could fabricate. The morning before the hearing, I couldn't eat. Lily made me toast, insisting I needed strength. My youngest brother calculated driving routes to avoid passing the prison. Jason printed copies of every document in triplicate. The twins drew pictures of our family, including Tyler, but notably excluding Nicole. We arrived at the courthouse an hour early. The kids wore their best clothes, looking older than their years. Tyler's family filled 2 rows behind us. My former professors, current colleagues, and even some parents from my school showed up in support. The show of community felt overwhelming. Nicole entered in civilian clothes, looking healthier than I'd ever seen her. Prison had regulated her drinking, forced routine into chaos. She made eye contact with each child, her expression attempting maternal warmth. Only the twins looked away, too young to remember her, but old enough to sense danger. Her lawyer painted a redemption story. Nicole had allegedly confronted her addiction, processed her trauma, learned parenting skills she'd never possessed. They presented certificates from every program, letters from prison counselors, even a job offer from a local restaurant. The performance felt rehearsed but effective. When my turn came, I focused on facts. Medical records showed the progression from neglect to health. School transcripts demonstrated academic improvement. Bank statements revealed financial stability. I didn't need to vilify Nicole. The evidence spoke clearly about what served the children's best interests. Jason testified with maturity beyond his 18 years. He described parentification, the burden of raising siblings while being a child himself. He spoke about college dreams deferred, childhood lost to survival. His voice cracked only once, when describing the night he'd hidden his siblings from one of Nicole's boyfriends. Lily sang instead of speaking. She'd composed a song about finding safety, about learning to trust adults again. The melody was simple, but the lyrics carried weight. Even the court reporter paused, moved by the raw honesty of a teenager processing trauma through art. My youngest brother presented his environmental science awards, explaining how stability had allowed him to pursue passions instead of survival. He showed acceptance letters from multiple universities, opportunities that existed only because someone had finally prioritized his education over benefit fraud. The Guardian ad litem interviewed each child privately. The twins, despite their age, clearly articulated their fears about the mean lady they'd seen in pictures. Their therapist had prepared them well, teaching age-appropriate ways to express their feelings about Nicole. Nicole's testimony relied heavily on emotional manipulation. She cried about missing milestones, about the daughter who'd stolen her babies. She claimed I'd poisoned them against her, that Tyler had ulterior motives, that the system had failed to support a struggling mother. Each word felt calculated for maximum sympathy. The judge asked pointed questions about the benefit fraud, the medical neglect, the birth control tampering. Nicole deflected, blamed addiction, claimed memory gaps. When pressed about selling Medicaid information, she insisted she'd been protecting the children from a broken system. The contradictions mounted. Tyler testified last, his construction worker hands folded carefully in his lap. He spoke about choosing this family, about watching children bloom with consistent care. He addressed Nicole directly, saying he held no anger but wouldn't allow her to destabilize what we'd built. His quiet strength resonated. The judge took a brief recess. We waited in the hallway. The kids clustered around us. Nicole stood alone except for her lawyer. No support system visible. The contrast felt significant. We'd built community while she'd burned bridges. When court reconvened, the judge's decision came swiftly. No visitation until the children turned 18 and could choose for themselves. Nicole's parental rights remained terminated. The restitution order stood, though collection seemed unlikely. Most importantly, our family structure received full legal protection. Nicole erupted, screaming about injustice and stolen children. Court officers restrained restrained her as she lunged toward our table. The kids pressed closer to Tyler and me, but they didn't panic. They'd survived worse than angry outbursts. Her removal felt anticlimactic after years of fear. Outside the courthouse, Jason hugged me tighter than he had in years. Lily hummed her safety song. My youngest brother called his roommate, ready to return to college life. The twins asked if we could get ice cream, their resilience both heartbreaking and inspiring. That evening, we didn't celebrate. We simply returned to our routine: homework, dinner preparation, bedtime stories. The ordinary felt extraordinary after confirming its protection. Tyler and I sat on the porch after everyone slept, processing the finality of the judge's decision. 2 days later, life resumed its rhythm. I returned to my principal duties, implementing new programs for guardian families. The kids attended school, pursued their interests, lived without the shadow of Nicole's potential return. We'd won more than a legal battle. We'd secured their right to stability. The Victim Compensation Fund finally processed our application, providing modest reimbursement for medical expenses. We allocated every penny to the kids' college funds, transforming Nicole's theft into their futures. The irony felt like poetic justice. A month passed peacefully. Jason graduated high school as salutatorian, his speech focusing on resilience and chosen family. Lily performed at the ceremony, her voice carrying across the football field. My youngest brother sent congratulations via video call, unable to leave his summer research program. The twins started first grade reading at third grade level. Their teachers marveled at their empathy, their ability to include struggling classmates. They'd learned early that everyone deserved kindness, that circumstances didn't define worth. Their natural leadership emerged from survived hardship. Tyler's promotion to regional manager became official. The position required occasional travel, but provided financial security we'd never imagined possible. We hired a part-time nanny, carefully vetted and background checked, to help during his absences. The kids adapted easily, understanding that success meant calculated changes. My work in education expanded beyond our district. State committees sought input on trauma-informed practices and guardian support systems. I testified before legislative panels about practical needs, flexible scheduling, emergency childcare funding, mental health resources. Real change happened slowly but steadily. 6 months after the hearing, we received notice that Nicole had been transferred to a minimum security facility. Her release date moved up by 8 months for good behavior. The news barely registered. We'd built lives that no longer revolved around her actions or threats. Jason started college locally, living in the converted garage apartment. He joined student government, advocating for resources supporting non-traditional students. His professors noted his unusual maturity and life experience. He mentored freshmen aging out of foster care, understanding their unique challenges. Lily's music evolved from processing trauma to celebrating growth. She performed at charity events, donating proceeds to family support services. A local recording studio offered free session time, recognizing her talent and message. Her songs reached other survivors, creating connection through shared experience. My youngest brother's water filtration innovation earned recognition from environmental organizations. He spent spring break installing systems in rural communities, combining technical knowledge with social impact. Tyler helped refine prototypes, their partnership bridging generational skills. The twins excelled academically and socially. Their first grade teacher recommended gifted testing, noting their advanced problem-solving abilities. We approached enrichment carefully, prioritizing emotional development alongside intellectual growth. They remained children first, students second. Our family foundation grew beyond initial expectations. Jason managed social media outreach, connecting struggling guardians with resources. Recipients shared success stories, GEDs earned, stable housing secured, children thriving. We'd transformed our pain into others' possibilities. Tyler and I renewed our vows on our 5th anniversary. The ceremony was small, just family and close friends in our backyard. The kids participated, acknowledging that our marriage had created their security. Even the twins understood they were celebrating more than romantic love. We were affirming chosen family. As Nicole's new release date approached, we felt prepared rather than anxious. The kids had grown stronger, more confident in their identities. They understood their worth wasn't tied to her recognition or approval. Some expressed curiosity about eventual contact. Others remained protective of hard-won peace. My principal role evolved to include mentoring other administrators. I developed training programs emphasizing practical support over punitive measures. Districts implementing our strategies reported improved family engagement and student success. Change happened through understanding rather than judgment. The final month before release brought unexpected peace. We'd built something unshakable, a family founded on choice, strengthened by adversity, defined by love. Whatever Nicole chose after prison, she couldn't destroy what we'd created. The children she'd neglected had become accomplished young adults. The daughter she'd sabotaged led educational reform. Tyler reminded me during a quiet moment that we'd won by refusing to let bitterness define us. We'd channeled anger into advocacy, pain into purpose. Our story wasn't about Nicole anymore. It was about resilience, chosen family, and the power of consistent love. Looking at our photo wall, I saw the journey documented in images. Early pictures showed exhausted faces and forced smiles. Recent photos captured genuine joy. Graduations, performances, family vacations. We'd transformed survival into thriving, one day at a time. The kids gathered for Sunday dinner the week before Nicole's release. Jason brought his girlfriend, a fellow social work student who understood complicated families. Lily performed her newest song about metamorphosis. My youngest brother participated via video call from his field placement. The twins helped serve dinner, proud of their contributions. That night, after dishes and homework, we held our final family meeting about Nicole. Each child reaffirmed their boundaries, their choices about contact. Tyler and I promised continued support regardless of their decisions. We'd prepared them as much as possible. The rest was their journey. I returned to my classroom Monday morning, greeting students who faced their own challenges. Some lived with grandparents, others with older siblings stepping into parental roles. I saw our younger selves in their faces, remembering when survival felt impossible impossible. Now I could offer hope grounded in experience. The work continued, advocating for policy changes, supporting guardian families, teaching children that circumstances didn't determine destiny. Every small victory mattered. Every family stabilized, created ripples. We'd learned that transformation happened through daily choices, not dramatic gestures. Nicole's release came and went without contact. We'd built lives that no longer required her participation or approval. The children she'd failed had succeeded despite her, not because of her. Our family stood as testament that love was action, not biology. 3 months later, we received a letter through her lawyer. Nicole had found employment, secured housing, and wanted to apologize. The kids discussed it maturely, some choosing to read her words, others declining. Each decision was respected, each boundary maintained. Life settled into new rhythms. Jason excelled in social work studies. Lily balanced music with education. My youngest brother's innovations gained recognition. The twins grew into compassionate, confident children. Tyler and I continued building our life together, grateful for every ordinary moment. Our story wasn't unique. Thousands of families faced similar challenges, but we'd survived, thrived, and now helped others do the same. Every policy changed, every family supported, every child who learned they mattered. This was Nicole's true legacy, transformed from destruction into purpose. The future stretched ahead, full of possibility. College graduations, career launches, perhaps grandchildren someday. We'd face challenges, celebrate victories, weather storms together. The family forged in crisis had become our greatest achievement, proof that love could conquer neglect. That choice created stronger bonds than blood. Tyler and I stood on our porch, watching the twins play basketball with Jason while Lily practiced guitar nearby. My youngest brother called to share news about his latest environmental award. This was our happily ever after. Not perfect, but real. Not without struggle, but defined by how we'd faced it together. We'd built something beautiful from broken pieces, created stability from chaos, chosen love over bitterness. Our family existed because we'd refused to let Nicole's failures define our limits. Every day we chose each other, and that choice had made all the difference.